Now we're getting to the fun stuff. What is impacting? Impacting is a style of light show that uses two different colored thumbs to tell a story in a surprising and unexpected way. And it carries an element of magic because you make one light disappear and another one appear. It is supposed to be intense, and one of the reasons is because these iNova lights are very bright. The brightness of these thumbs causes what's called a pattern interrupt. A pattern interrupt is when there's some type of pattern flowing, like a thought pattern, and you abruptly stop it. That is what the iNova does. And it resets the brain through sensory overload because the light is so bright. So when you're impacting, you want to be very mindful of shining this light directly in their face because a lot of people can't take the brightness. Now this intensity also contributes to that surprise factor, and it makes those unexpected hits just punch harder. In my opinion, this is the most powerful style of light show because of the brightness of the thumbs. And if you utilize them correctly, you won't just get smiles over the viewer. You're gonna completely leave people in awe. Now, a lot of impactors use robotic moves, and this will help increase your intensity. But it's really a style choice. If you wanna have a more flowy show, you could totally have a flowy impact show or a flow pack show. When I started, I wanted to have a more flowy style, but I realized further along that I was using flow as an excuse to be sloppy. And so that's when I made the transition over from a more flowy style into a more robotic and precise style. But again, it's really all style choice, so go with what you want to do. Just make sure you don't take any shortcuts. You can totally have a flowy show, but don't sacrifice your intensity and your shock factor because of it. Impacts are super simple to understand. Even my dog could understand when to follow one light and when to follow another light. Impacts are very hard to execute though, because they require perfect placement, cleanliness, strict attention to detail, and you can't just flow out of moves. You gotta have clean transitions that are intentional, and they gotta be precise. And because of this, there is a high learning curve. So you gotta stay committed to learning, and you may not see results for a while, but I promise you it'll be worth it. Now, there are three main parts to your show. The first is the M1, and this is pretty much the foundation of your show. These are the two characters that you tell your story with. And so you show them the red one, you move around this red one, and then you switch it to the blue one, and you tell a story with the blue one. So you wanna focus a majority of your show on these M1 concepts. And that first M1 that you drop is that first surprise that shocks the viewer because they're not expecting it at all. The next part of the show is the M2, and these are the trail effects. These are very trippy and good for fast moves. They're also good for resets and taking breaks from just constant M1s. I love using trails and M2s, especially at live events, because I get really good feedback and reception from the viewers, especially when you drop them at the drop. Now the third part of the impact show is the M3, and these are the strobes. These are the most powerful part of the impact show, and they're often the most overlooked. But this is the part that really leaves the impact. And it's not just you blinding the viewer the entire time with this light. There is an art to it, and it requires very small, precise movements that are sharp. And these small movements will make your hands come alive. And this is another layer of surprise because they are not expecting it at all, and it just absolutely melts them. Now, conjuring is a little bit different from impacting. I would say conjuring is an umbrella term, and impacting falls underneath that conjuring category. Conjuring is when you have a light and you kind of grab that light and then you move it around over here. And then you pass that light along and then you move it over here. It's almost like magic where there's this magical light that's like moving around. You could pass it between your heads, and it's like the passing back and forth of a light. And it's often perceived as the same light that's kind of traveling around. Impacting, on the other hand, is telling a story between two different colored lights. And so it's not the same light, but they're two entirely different characters. It's also unexpected, It's very intense and it is powerful. Now the people you really want to get inspiration from, for the M1 moves, you gotta watch Corduroy. TNT Corduroy is the GOAT at M1s, and so really watch his moves to get inspiration. For M2s, check out Fry. Fry has some very, very unique M2s, and his trails are just like completely out of this world. And for M3s, it's Skittles. You want to check out Skittles shows and really see like the details that he puts into his strobes. And another one that you want to watch for intensity is Karma. Karma by far has the most intense shows, and when you're watching his shows, it just kind of hits you. Like, it feels like you're getting smacked in the face. And so you want to carry that same type of intensity in your shows. So go check those guys out and get some inspiration from them.